So good morning everyone. So let me take the attendance first. Khushi Shekhawat, Lakshrat Singh,
Yes, sir.
Manan Goyal, Parth Narendra Bhai, Rakesh Raika, Ravi Raman,
Present, sir.
Yes,
Rohini,
sir. Yes, sir.
Parikshit, Tarush and Tirthak. They are presently in the class now.
Yes, sir.
So just okay then. I hope you do not have any problem till what I have taught you. If you have, you may please ask me now itself, because from maybe from the next week we will be going for uh, you can say some test or some revision whatsoever we have studied. So I will spend 2 classes for revision of the entire thing whatever we have studied till date, and then we will go for some quizzes also. Would that be okay? Sure.
Yes, sir. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, fine. So let us just proceed further with the, let me just summarize what I have, what we have discussed yesterday. We discussed about the remedies of breach of contract. So remedies of breach, because there are six types of things which are there for the performance of the contract, or you can say the discharge of the contract. Out of these five things, first five do not actually require any further litigation, because either they are from by the operation of law, the mutual consent, or maybe by by something which has happened mutually between the parties. Now the last thing, that is the sixth thing, was the breach of contract, and because it is a breach of contract, there has to be some remedies to be decided by the court or to be given by the court itself. Okay, so the remedies for the breach of contract actually these are of, you can say, five types which we have studied, that either it can be result in recession of the contract, or you can, the other party can sue for the damages, or you can sue for the specific performance, or sue for an injunction to restrain the breach of the negative term. That is, injunction means bringing the stay order, and then sue for the quantum merit to the partially fulfilled up. So whatsoever has been conducted by the parties, to the extent that is performed, they should actually be compensated for the same. So these are the things. So if you see over here, four things are regarding suing and suing. Okay, you can sue. So ultimate thing is that you can sue the other party for the for any of the damages, or any of the things, any of the expenses, or maybe for the performance of the contract or whatsoever. So main thing is to sue. Okay, over here. So that is the foremost important over here. In case of, in case you are going for breach of contract, the first one is the recession, that the both parties, a person has actually refused, the other party will also not perform his contract. So if he doesn't want to sue, then there is no problem at all. The problem is then when the other party is aggrieved and it wants to sue the other party for the damages, then the other things happen. Okay, so we have studied in detail about all these things yesterday, even including the types of damages, liquidated, unliquidated damages we have studied, and what will happen to the liquidated damages, what is difference between damages and penalty, even the specific performance, when the specific performance cannot be claimed, or you can say the court will not give the order for it, injunction bringing the stay, and the quantum merit. So today we will be going with the indemnity. Now from here and onwards, the special type of contracts starts. So special type of contract, the first most special type of contract is the contract of indemnity and guarantee. So what is indemnity? Indemnity is a contract of indemnity is a contract by which one party is promises to save the other party from the loss caused by the other party for the conduct of the promiser himself, or by conduct of any other person. So it is actually just like a contract which is actually a contract of making good the laws. I have given you example previously also when I was teaching you the other general laws, that one of the most important law of India, this contract of indemnity is a contract of insurance. Okay, so that is one of the contract of indemnity. So for example, A has contracted to indemnify, means making good the loss. A has contracted to indemnify B against the consequences of any proceeding which C may take against B in respect of certain sum of rupees 300. So this is a contract of indemnity. So A is assuring that if C will file a suit against you, so to the extent of rupees 300, I will make good your losses. So because A might be sure of certain things, that you please enter into a contract with C, and if there are any damages to the extent of 300 rupees, I will be able to indemnify you. But beyond that, you have to indemnify yourself, or you can say the indemnity will not be there from the from A to B for the remaining. For example, B suffers a loss of rupees 500. So the court has given the decree of rupees 500 against B. So what will happen over here? A will make good the loss to the extent of 300, and remaining 200 B has to either bear himself, or he can take the indemnity from someone else also if there is a provision to do so. So the contract of indemnity may be either express or it may be implied. So later may be inferred from the circumstances of the particular case. Means mostly the contract of indemnity are expressed. Okay, but if it is implied, then it totally depends from the circumstances of the case whether it is implied or what. Okay, for example, an act done by A at the request of B. If A incurs any expense, he can recover the same from B, or if A incurs any loss, you can say, so he can incur the same from B. So something like that. Okay, so this is now which is implied because he has acted upon. Why? Because B has told, or otherwise what B should have done? B should have expressly told A that if I will bear a loss, then you have to make it good. So that will be the express. Okay. So a person who promises to indemnify or make good the loss is called indemnifier. Okay. A person who is actually making good the loss is called indemnifier, and the person whose loss is being indemnified, or the person whose loss is made good, is called indemnified or indemnity holder, like a policy holder. Okay, so indemnity holder is a policy holder who will be made good the loss in case if it happens. So a contract of insurance, I have already told you, is an example of contract of indemnity according to English law. In consideration of the premium, insurer promises to make good the loss suffered by assured on account of destruction by fire of his property insured against fire. So somebody has taken, so A has taken from an insurance company I certain policy and has paid some premium to insurance company I, and insurance company has assured him that okay, to the extent of, suppose for example 1 lakh rupees, I will indemnify you, or I will make good the loss if the fire occurs. Okay, so again, when I was telling you about the certain contracts which are though this is one of the contract which is a contract which is of the nature of you can say some anticipatory loss is there. So some anticipation of loss may be there, or you can say this is a contract which is contingent. While I was teaching you contingent contract, I gave you the example of insurance. So on happening of certain event, the contract become enforceable. So what is the event over here in case of fire? So insurance is a contract of indemnity, and indemnities are the contract of contingencies. Okay, so this is there. So under Indian contract, the contract of indemnity is restricted to such cases only where the loss permitted to be reimbursed is caused by the conduct of the promisor or any other person. So loss caused by events or accident which do not depend on the conduct of any person, it seems cannot be sought to be reimbursed under the contract of indemnity. So Indian Act actually is a bit different. So it says that any loss which is cause of a natural calamity or something else will not be covered under indemnity under the Indian Contract Act. So if any person has caused any loss to someone, then it is to be indemnified, or somebody has promised someone else that I will indemnify you for certain losses, then only the contract of indemnity will be there. So now what are the various rights of indemnity holder when sued? So what can be the right? So the rights are given under section 125, and the promisee in this contract of the indemnity acting within the scope of the authorities entitled to recover from the promisor all the damages which he may be compelled to pay in any suit in respect of any matter to which the promise to indemnity applies. Number one. So if there is some suit which happened or some case which happened, so all the expenses related to that will be there. All the cost which he may be compelled to pay in such a suit, if in bringing or defending it, he did not contravene the orders of the promisor and acted as it would have been prudent for him to act in the absence of any contract of indemnity, or if the promisor authorized him to bring or defend a suit. Okay, so whatever, if the promisor is saying that, okay, you just go ahead, I will just indemnify you if there is any suit or something like that. So if it is authorizing, or by the conduct it is looking like that, that in case if any suit will be there, then it will be for bringing or defending that particular suit or the cause of action against the promisee in the court of law. All the cost will be borne by the indemnifier. In all sums which he may be paid, he may have paid under the terms of the compromise of such suit, if compromise was not contrary to the orders of the promisor and was one which it would have been prudent for the promisee to make the absence of any contract of indemnity, or if the promisor authorized to compromise. So there are three types of things. If you see over here, in order to remember, because you may not be able to write it word by word, and it is not at all good. So so in the contract of indemnity, there are three types of things. First is the damages, third is the cost, and second is the cost, and third is the money of compromise. So all damages to be paid, all costs to be borne, and any compromise which has been done between the parties on, if in case the contract is there that the other is to be indemnified, then all these costs will be covered for the indemnity holder. So it will be the right of the indemnity holder to just make good these losses if he is sued for. Okay, so this is all about your contract of indemnity. Next is your contract of guarantee. Any doubt in the contract of indemnity? Anyone?
No, sir.
Come on. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.
No, sir. No, sir.
So understood the contract of indemnity fully? Okay. So next is the your contract of guarantee. Now this contract of guarantee is a contract to perform the promise or discharge the liability of the third person in case of his default. Okay, so this is something, a guarantee which is given by a bank. You can just think it like that. The bank gives a guarantee that if the person will make a default, we will make good the loss. Or sometimes we have to give guarantee to the bank that if this particular person will not pay you the money, I will pay you the money. So again, this is also a contract of contingency. It is enforceable only when the principal debtor is not at all paying to the creditor. Then this particular person who has given the guarantee will come into the picture and he has to pay the things. Okay, so a person who gives a guarantee is called surety. A person for whom the guarantee is given is called principal debtor. A person who has taken money is debtor. So he will be the principal debtor who has actually taken the money. Okay, and the person to whom guarantee is given is creditor. So debtor has taken money from the creditor, and surety is giving a guarantee to the creditor that if debtor will not pay the money, I will pay you the money. So I hope you have understood the relationship between these two. The principal debtor, why he is called principal debtor? Because the principal responsibility is on the principal debtor to pay to the creditor. So the surety is having not the principal but the secondary liability. So surety will be having a secondary liability, but the principal liability is of the principal debtor. That's why it is called principal debtor, because he is the person who has taken the money. Surety has given a guarantee that if he will not pay, I will pay. Right? So this is under section 126. So a guarantee may be either oral or written. It can be either oral or written. Though in English law, it must be in writing, otherwise it is not enforceable. But in Indian law, it is oral also will be there. So let us just see one illustration. A advances a loan of rupees 5,000 to B. So A is giving money to B. So A becomes the creditor and B becomes the principal debtor. So C promises to A that if B doesn't repay the loan, C will do so. So C is a surety who is giving a guarantee to A that if B will not be able to make the payment, I will make you the payment. Okay, so here B is the principal debtor, C is the creditor, and C is the surety or the guarantor, you can say. So like a contract of indemnity, guarantee must also satisfy all the essentials of a valid contract. So there is, however, a special feature with regard to consideration in a contract of guarantee. The consideration received by principal debtor is sufficient for the surety. Now here, it may arise that what is the consideration that surety has received. So surety has not received any consideration, but he has made the principal debtor receive the consideration. So the principal debtor, as he is receiving the consideration of the amount which he is giving, because he is enjoying the loan from the creditor. So that is a sufficient, you can say, consideration for a surety to give a guarantee to the creditor. Okay, so there is, however, a special feature with this with regard to the consideration in a contract of guarantee. The consideration received by principal debtor is sufficient for the surety. So surety need not require any consideration as such. Okay, so section 127 provides that anything done or any promise made for the benefit of the principal debtor may be sufficient consideration to the surety for giving the guarantee, and this is also expressly given in the law under section 127, which provides that there is no special, you can say, there is no special type of consideration which is to be provided by the to the surety. So the consideration which is provided to the this principal debtor is sufficient for the surety to be considered as a consideration as such. Okay, so there is no need of paying or no need of giving in any extra thing over here. Okay, so this is the thing. Hope this is okay with all of you. You are understanding this? Come on, Rakesh, Khushi.
Yes, sir.
Where is
Yes,
Khushi?
sir.
Okay, fine. Illustration. Now let us just see the example. Suppose B requests A to sell and deliver to him goods on credit. Now B has requested A to provide goods on credit to him. Now what A does? A refuses. A has refused it. I will not give you because I don't know you. But A agrees to do so provided C will give the guarantee the payment of the price of the goods, because C is one person who actually knows both A and B. Okay, so C is also a friend of B, C is also a friend of A, so A can trust C, and B also wants C to just provide him a favor that if he can give a guarantee, then A can provide the goods. And C has given the guarantee. C promises to guarantee the payment in consideration of A's promise to deliver the goods. So this is a sufficient consideration for C promise in order to give the guarantee. Is this okay? Yes, come on. अरे कुछ तो बोलो भाई, नहीं आया समझ में? शौर्य?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is A sells and delivers goods to B. Now A has sold and delivered the goods to B. C afterwards requests A to forbear to sue B for the debt for a year and promises that if he does so, C will pay for them in default of payment by B. So A agrees to forbear as requested. So this is again a sufficient consideration for C's promise. Now here the case is about a little bit different. For example, A has sold the goods to B. Now B is actually not providing the payment. So C has requested A to or even the B has no, A to forbear to sue B for the debt of the year and promises that if he does so, C will pay them the default payment. Actually, what happened? Now B has made a default. B has not paid. Now C has requested A, please do not file a suit against B. He will give you the money. Now see over here, the guarantee has happened afterwards. Now A has already sold goods to B. A has already sold goods to B. C afterwards has come up in the picture because B might have requested C that this A is filing a suit against me. Can you please stop him? So C then afterwards requested A that you please do not file a suit against him and he will clear off your debt in 1 year. Okay. And if he will not do so, I will make good you the losses. Okay. And A has agreed that he will not file a suit against B for the recovery of the amount. Now, this is a sufficient consideration for C that A has actually given a promise that he will not file a suit against C. This is a sufficient thing, sufficient consideration for C is giving a surety that I will make good the losses if you obey me, if you means do the things as I want. Okay. Hope this is also understandable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you have understood indemnity also. You have understood guarantee also. So should I give you an assignment? So this is an assignment. You have to make a table which actually distinguishes between the indemnity and the guarantee. So let me just give you this in the chat box also. Okay, that you have to do this. Distinguish between indemnity and guarantee. Okay. This is assignment. Okay. Fine. So this is means though actually what the thing is, let me just give you, there are certain differences which I have also written over here, but I will not show you. So this is what you have to do. Now next things are regarding contract of bailment and pledge. Okay, so section 148 to 181 actually deals with the contract of bailment and pledge. Now, what is the meaning of bailment? I have told you before also. Can anyone tell me what is bailment? You can Google, no problem. Carry on. But I need an answer from any of you. And who will give the answer? I will see that for sure. If you will have a good participation in the class, definitely, you know, you will get better marks. Yes, come on. What is
Sir,
bailment? Do it, do it, do it. No problem. Carry on.
sir, delivering things without any transfer of ownership.
What?
Sir, delivering, it's an act. It's an act in which delivery of goods are done without any ownership.
Okay. Who is this? Kartikeya Sharma. Very good. You are
Yes.
delivering the goods without change in the ownership. Means we are not at all means without changing the ownership you are delivering the goods. Okay. So why a
Sir,
person will deliver a goods without changing the ownership? Yeah. I should deliver the goods once I have sold it. Why should I give you? Or why should I give it to anyone?
Sir, it is without any security.
Without any?
Security.
Okay, Khushi. Can you give an example? Very good example, and you daily have such examples. So I would be happy if you can quote any of the examples over here. Come on,
Sir, he transfers the
you
good
do
but
it
not the
daily, my
ownership.
dear. And whenever I give you assignment, you do all the time. This bailment. Am I correct or not? Come on.
So
Don't
the
you
ownership is not
assign it to
transferred,
someone
right?
else to get his assignment also do the things, huh? You also tell him, अरे चल यार मेरे से देख लेना, मेरा कर लेना. या फिर sometimes those who are good they just say they can टीपना मत, do not copy, but this will help you in doing your assignment. How many of you help your friends? Raise your hands. Raise your hands electronically like this. Ah, come on, do it. Let me see how many of you help each other. Very good, Kartikeya. You guys, you do not help each other at all. Okay. In the entire class of 38 people, only 4 people help each other. Do others what they are doing then? They are only taking help. Am I correct? What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now put down your hands. So whenever you are actually helping others by giving your things to them, this is actually, and with the intention that they will return back. Okay, then this is called bailment. Okay, so let us just study about the bailment. So bailment is a transaction whereby one person delivers the goods to another person for some purpose upon a contract that they are, when the purpose is accomplished, to be returned or otherwise disposed of according to the directions of the person delivering them. So what do? You finish off with your assignment. You give your assignment to one of your friend. When his work is accomplished, when the purpose is accomplished, that is, he has already copied it or he has done his work without copying it and done it by all diligent means. Either he return it to you or you tell him, यार तू मेरा भी जमा करा देना. So it is otherwise disposed of according to the direction of the person who has delivered it. समझ में आई बात? Is it clear to everyone? What is bailment?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So let us just the person who delivers the good is called a bailer. Okay, and the person whom they are delivered is called bailee. So a bailer will be a person who has done his assignment first. He will give his assignment to you with a faith that you will not destroy the assignment, you will take care of it. Okay, and once your work is done, then either you will return it back to him or you will just give it to the teacher when it is asked for. Okay, and it is also he also trusts that his assignment should also not be delayed by you. Okay, I think this assignment example is a perfect example to make you all understand about the bailment. Okay, so the person to whom this is given is called bailee. So bailer and bailee. Okay, so bailment is a voluntary delivery of goods, okay, for a temporary purpose on understanding that they are to be returned in specie in the same or altered form, whatever. So ownership of the goods remains with the bailer, the bailee getting only the possession. So what is the legal status over here? The legal status is that the ownership of the good still remains with the bailer, and the bailee is only getting the possession of it for the time being. And sometimes bailment is done in order to, you know, get the things done on it. Suppose, for example, you give a blank copy to your friend. So you are a bailer, you are giving a blank copy to your friend. That bailee will do his assignment also and your assignment in your copy and will return your copy back to you. Okay, or will deposit the copy to the teacher whenever it is asked for. So in this case, the benefit is of whom? The benefit is of bailer. And in the previous case, when you have given your work done to your, you can say to your friend to get his work done, in that case, bailee is the one who is getting the benefit. So it totally depends on the situation. Okay, that who will get the benefit, but one or the other way, the purpose of delivering the goods without transferring the ownership is to benefit someone. So at least someone should get benefit out of it. Okay. So the delivery of the goods may be actual or constructive. where the keys of the godown is handed over to a person, it amounts to deliver the goods of the godown. For example, I want to deliver a pen. What I will do? I will take out pen from my pocket and give it by hand to someone else. Okay, who will just catch the pen, or who will just take the delivery of the pen from my hand and do his work, put his signature and give it back to me. Okay, so that is called a bailment. But what if I have to deliver my car? So I will pick my car and put it on my shoulders and throw it on him, and he will also catch the car. He may be buried under the car. Okay, so is this a way of delivering the goods? Or should I hand over the keys to him? Okay, you take my car. Come on, tell me, yeah. Right? How will you deliver the car to someone else, Rakesh?
Sir,
How will you deliver if somebody asks you to borrow a car from you? How will you deliver the car to him?
so either I will send a driver to him or I'll go and give it to him.
How will you give? You have gone, you have taken your car, you have sent a driver, and the driver is sitting inside the car and not allowing other person to sit inside. Is this a delivery?
No, sir.
Then how the delivery will happen? You have to deliver the car. But you have to hand over the keys of the car to him, na? Oh, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That is called constructive delivery. Okay. Now at the same time, you cannot say, I have only delivered keys. I have not delivered the car. Can you say like that? The keys of the car, and what the person will do with the keys? He cannot hang the keys in his own neck. Can he do that? Or should he do that? Had that been the necklace, he would have done it, or she would have done it. Rather than taking the delivery constructively will be taking the keys of the car. Or if I want to deliver the godown to someone, what I will do? I will hand over the keys. So this is called constructive delivery. Okay. So when the actual delivery cannot happen, constructive delivery can happen. Getting or not getting? चलिए आगे बढ़ते. Oh, getting or not getting, Rakesh? Rakesh?
Yes, sir. Getting
Where
sir.
you have gone? You always come first in the class and afterwards you vanish. Is it so?
No, sir.
Why? So let us proceed with the gratuitous bailment. A gratuitous bailment is one in which neither the bailor nor the bailee is entitled to any remuneration. Such bailment may be for the exclusive benefit of the bailor. So, for example, when A leaves his dog with the neighbor to be looked and taken care of by in A's absence, what is this? This is a gratuitous. Gratuitous means without any money. Gratuity is for some social work. So who is doing this social work? Bailee is doing the social work for the benefit of the bailor. Okay. So such bailment may be for the exclusive benefit of the bailor, and it may again be for the exclusive benefit of the bailee also. For example, when you lend book to a friend of yours for a week, now who is getting benefit out of it? Book is yours. Your friend will read it out and will send it back to you after 1 week. Now who is getting the benefit? The bailee over here is getting the benefit because the book belongs to the owner, that is you. So normally bailers are the owners of the thing which are to be transferred, and bailee will get benefit, or bailor will also may also get the benefit. Depends on the circumstances of the case. Okay. So gratuitous bailment terminates by death of either bailor or bailee. So if it is to be terminated, so either of the party if dies, then it is got terminated. Under section 159, the lender of the things for use may at any time requires it returned if the loan was gratuitous, even though he lent it for a specified period or purpose. So what happens? So if the lender, suppose for example, these are regarding certain things. Suppose can money be lended? Can money be covered under the bailment? Yes, money can also be covered under the bailment. So the lender who is to whom the money belongs to, he has lended it to someone else. He can ask for the return of the money anytime he needs. So the bailee cannot say, no, I have already, I have asked for a specified period of time. I can't give you now. So it cannot be like that. Okay, he has to return the money back to him. So, but if on the fate of such a loan made for a specified time or the period, borrower has acted in such a manner that the return of the things lent before the time agreed would cause him loss exceeding the benefit actually delivered by him from the loan, the lender must, if he compels the return, indemnify the borrower amount in which the loss so occasioned exceeds the benefit so derived. Now, what has happened? Let me just give you an example. Okay. Example is like that A has lent rupees 500, or you can say rupees 50,000 to B. Okay. And this was a gratuitous bailment without any charge or without anything. Now B has actually spent that money, or B has actually given that money to someone else for purchase of a house. Okay, so the house is to be purchased, and B has said that I will give it back to you in 1 year. Now after 6 months, A comes to B that, oh, I have given you the money, I need it badly, you just give me back my money because it was a bailment. So B is B has already advanced that money to someone for purchasing of the house. Now, if the and further after giving this money, he may also have given about 1 lakh more rupees to the person for the purchase of the house, which is to be delivered to him in the 9th month, and 6 months have passed, and this person for whose money was there has given the money for 1 year. Now, what happens the if this person B would arrange that 50,000 for him, he has to take the money back from the person from who is purchasing the house, and at that time all the money the remaining will be forfeited. So in this case, the lender, that is A, who has advanced the money to B, should make good the loss to him, or otherwise at least inform him that this is the position, I can't give you now. So if you want, you can take it, but these are the losses which you may have to bear, because on the promise that I will be returning this money to you after 1 year only, I have taken it. So these are the circumstances of the cases, and these are the crucial ones sometimes. Okay. Next is a bailment for reward. Now this is for the mutual benefit of the bailer and the bailee. For example, A lets out a motor car to hire to B. A is the bailer and receives the hire charges, and B is the bailee and gets the use of the car. Let me give you another example. You go to watch movies. You have to keep your motorcycle in the or you have to keep your car in at the parking place. So and for that you have to pay rupees 30 or rupees 50, whatever. So the person to whom you are handing over the keys of your car is a bailee and you are a bailer. So your benefit is that he will take care of your car, and for the 3 hours, because he is allowing you to make your car or your motorcycle stand over there, he is charging you 30 rupees. So there is a mutual benefit of both of them. Now here, where A hand over his goods to B, a courier for the for carriage at a price, A is the bailer who enjoys the benefit of carriage, and B is the bailee who receives the remuneration for carrying the good. This is another example. Okay, so when you give your goods to the transporter to carry that goods to one place to other, and you also pay the money. So you are paying the money, you are getting the benefit. He's and you are paying the money, he is getting the benefit, and you want the goods to be transferred from one place to other, you are also getting the benefit. Okay, so this is something which is related to bailment. Now next is your pledge. Pledge or pawn is a contract whereby an article is deposited with the lender of money or promises as a security for the repayment of the loan or performance of a promise. A bailer or a depositor is called pawnee or a pledger, and bailee is a depositee, the pawnee or the pledgee under section 172. So now what happens over here is that sometimes for the need of the money, we may have to keep our goods to as a pledge, or you can say it is a kind of mortgage. Have you heard this word mortgage? Anyone of you?
Yes, sir.
हिंदी में बोलते हैं रहन रखना, गिरवी रखना, सुना है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
है ना?
Yes,
so this is something related to this. Okay, so since pledge is a branch of, it is actually what is happening. It is something related or similar to bailment itself. Okay, you are actually what you are doing, you are actually pledging your goods and you are taking money from him, and after paying the money you will take your goods back. ऐसे ही होता है ना? So the pledge is a branch of
Yes.
agreement. The pawnee is bound to take the reasonable care of the goods pledged with him. Any kind of goods, valuables, documents, securities may be pledged. The government securities, example, promissory notes, however, be pledged by the endorsement and delivery. Now what happens? आपने देखा होगा, फिल्मों में देखा होगा, वो अपनी बीवी के गहने गिरवी रखकर कुछ पैसा लेके आता है, बेटी की शादी करता है, something like that, है ना? Can you relate? So that activity itself is called a pledge. Okay, when you are keeping your valuables to someone else and that person is not having a right to use it, but he is only, this money has been kept as a security that the person will give money. Okay, this will be applicable only when the person who has taken the money refuses to pay or is not in position to pay. Then the things which are being pledged, okay, can be sold off in the market or can be utilized or can be kept. So something like that can happen. Okay. So following are the essential ingredients of pledge. What actually comprises of pledge? The property pledge should be delivered to the pledgee. So to whomsoever you are keeping the property in should be delivered. So delivery should be in pursuance of the contract. That the contract. What is the contract? Contract is that if I am not able to pay my money back, I will surrender the property to you, or I will pay the money back within this period of time by the time you keep the property. Delivery should be for the purpose of security. It is only for the purpose of security, not for the use of the other. So delivery should be upon a condition to return. So there is a condition that it will be returned back. All these 4 ingredients must be there in order to make a contract of pledge. Okay, so this is about the pledge, and further we will be studying about pledge in detail in tomorrow's class. So if you have any problem, anything, you can ask me. I think time is also going to up, so we have 2 minutes. So if you have any problem, you can ask me. Carry on. Any problem? Have you enjoyed today's class?
Yes, sir.
So you might be saying, "Aap sir mood mein the nahi?" Really, I was in good mood today anyways. So let me take the attendance. Fine. So Chandresh Kumar, Drishti Verma,
Yes, sir.
Gaurav Agarwal,
Yes,
Gautam
sir.
Kotra, Harshit, Hemant Kumar, Kartik Rajput, Kartikeyan Sharma, Khushi
Yes,
Shekhawat,
sir.
Present, sir.
Raj Singh,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anand Goyal, Mukul Swami,
Yes, sir.
Parth Narendra Bhai, Prakash Chaudhary, Pushpendra Pal Singh, Rahul Devaria, Rakesh Raika,
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Mohan Modi,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pingle, Saurya Dikshit,
Yes,
Bhavesh
sir.
Mittal, and Tirthak Kirti Bhai.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, hope you enjoyed the class today. I tried to make it interactive also and tried to make it funny too. So
Yes,
please
sir.
interact
Yes,
in the
sir.
future also and
Yes,
keep
sir.
on participating in the class. बीच बीच में बोलते रहा करो यार, है ना? Okay, so
Okay, sir.
wish you a very good day and have a nice day. Thank you all of you.
Same to you,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank